we have been telling you about a body parts found in the trunk of a Tesla owned by the singer David. We now know who the victim is in this case, and there are a lot of twists and turns.
David Anthony Burke, better known as D4vd, flipped the city's pulse when, just before sunrise, news broke live on KTLA that he was on the run. Hours after dropping a confession so blunt, even his own lawyer looked shell-shocked. Investigators had flagged him for questioning yesterday, and multiple insiders at the station confirmed that the interview ended with D4vd stammering, sweating, and then admitting, in no uncertain terms, to the crime at the center of Los Angeles' most radioactive case. The official reaction? A stunned scramble. Detectives prepared arrest papers overnight, but by dawn, D4vd's location was anyone's guess. Hollywood woke up to the kind of panic you can't fake. Venues yanked his name off marquees, radio stations pulled his music, and the usual spin doctors were silent.
Big developments in the case involving the singer David and the girl who was found in the trunk of his Tesla. Notably, we broke a lot of stories yesterday, but one of the big ones was we were able to talk to a teacher who taught Celeste Rivas and had a lot to say.
Just 24 hours before the confession, he was playing to packed houses, his name still glued to ticketing sites. Now, by 8 a.m., Ticketmaster marked both of his last U.S. shows as canceled, while venues across Europe quietly scrubbed his tour dates from their calendars. The final show, planned for September 13th, was yanked from the Grammy Museum's website without comment. One sharp observer on Twitter clocked the deletion at 2:13 AE, minutes after LAPD detectives left his Hollywood Hills residence, with evidence bags and a laptop. His label Interscope cut all promotional activity for his new album and issued a single line to Billboard: "We have paused campaign content pending further developments." Money was moving, but not in his direction. One rep at Crocs confirmed at 9:12 a.m. that all ad spots featuring D4vd were pulled effective immediately. With every new hour, sponsors fell away.
And law enforcement sources say much of this case hinges on the medical examiner determining a cause of, but given the state of the body, that is proving to be quite.
Records show it started with the discovery of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, 15, found in the front trunk of a Tesla registered to D4vd and left on a residential street in the Bird Streets, a neighborhood where people still lock their cars but never expect to find a corpse. A foul odor brought out tow yard workers on September 8. By noon, homicide was on the scene, and the city's biggest alt-pop phenom was suddenly staring down the kind of questions no publicist can. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner's Office confirmed the identity the following Wednesday and flagged that Celeste's body had been severely decomposed and partially dismembered. The LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division took the case for missing persons within hours, but they refused to call it a homicide. At least on the record, legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer told Good Morning America, "Without a confirmed cause and manner of passing, there is no legal ground for an arrest." But in private, investigators were burning up their phones. A senior detective told ABC News, off camera, that all options were on the table after D4vd's confession.
Division is investigating this case. They still have not said it's a
Correct.
meaning that they don't know the cause of death. Obviously, yes, the body was dismembered and was, where the parts were in a bag that was in the Tesla, but they don't know.
That's where the story cracked wide open. 3 industry veterans insist that somewhere in the evidence hall, there's a full confession tape, recorded either by accident or by a worn wire, worn by a cooperating witness, depending on which roadie you believe. The rumor grew legs on Discord, then exploded on TikTok in the middle of the night. Users spliced audio clips they claimed were from the interrogation, one voice breaking, another pressing, a line that sounds like, "I did it, I was scared." Officially, neither LAPD nor D4vd's lawyer will confirm the existence of a tape, but the network's legal desk says if that tape is real, it's just a matter of time. Police want the forensics airtight. Any leak and the entire case risks collapsing in court. But the existence of a confession, especially one this raw, turns speculation into inevitability. This isn't about proving guilt. It's about tracking the countdown before the trap snaps shut. D4vd's collapse isn't slow. On September 7, one day before the discovery, he posted to Instagram about the Withered Deluxe album. By September 8, every live stream went silent. The Discord mod, quoted by TMZ, insisted no one on staff knew Celeste's real age. "We believed she was around 18 or 19 years old." But the mod added he'd barely spoken to D4vd directly. Hours later, D4vd's Reddit community locked down. Users accused him of deleting posts about Celeste, and then poof, his username vanished from the moderator list, locking all new discussion. With every digital trace scrubbed, the tension only ramped up. Meanwhile, fans tracked movement at his Hollywood Hills address. One viral TikTok posted Thursday shows lights and what might be voices inside at 11:17 p.m. But the singer himself hasn't been seen in public since before the raid. LAPD took his electronics, but didn't arrest him. He is cooperating, said a law enforcement source to Billboard, but his whereabouts are unknown. Each update triggered a new round of rumors. He'd skipped town, bought a burner phone, maybe even crossed state lines. Not a single news drone has caught him on camera since.
That's her in my classroom, in front of this poster right here. She's been missing since I taught her. So when I taught her, she met this dude on social media. He was a rapper in LA. He came and got her. She ran away from home. She was gone for like a month. The cops found her in Hollywood, brought her back to our school. She came back to our school, kind of told people this story. She disappeared again in May of that year. And then I found out yesterday that she's now in that rapper's car.
Every hour, the stakes lurch higher. The money at risk is already north of several $1 million, with brands and streaming platforms hitting pause, sometimes mid-contract. Interscope froze rollout for his album and quietly pulled video teasers off YouTube. Several European venues issued blanket refunds before even confirming cancellations to the press, citing unforeseen circumstances. The fan base is imploding in real time. On Friday, his largest subreddit was set to private, while fans on X tracked private jets landing at Van Nuys, cross-referencing tail numbers with D4vd's old tour logistics. LAPD sources, quoted by The Times, still refuse to say who actually owned the Tesla or who drove it last, but admit the car had sat abandoned in the bird streets for days. By the afternoon of September 8, evidence techs were cataloging a tube top, black leggings, a yellow bracelet, and a tattoo on Celeste's right index finger, shh, in red ink. TMZ claims D4vd had the exact same tattoo, except, as receipts show, it only appears in photos starting September 2024. Before then, clean skin.
Always quiet, nice. She come in like if she buy like a chips, soda, and leave.
Celeste Rivas's family, meanwhile, has vanished from public view. Reporters knocking at their Lake Elsinore home got no answer. Neighbors told the LA Times they hadn't seen anyone in weeks. Missing posters from February 2024 still line the street, curling at the edges, a brutal reminder of how long this case simmered before detonating. Police raided D4vd's Hollywood Hills rental just days after the body turned up. Records show he and his manager, Josh Marshall, broke the $20,000 a month lease the same week, carting out bags in a flurry. The landlord, Mladen Trifunovic, told the Daily Mail he didn't even know Burke lived there until the raid. Detectives seized computers, phones, and personal items, but the official statement stays the same. Several items of evidence were recovered and will be analyzed by detectives in the coming days. LAPD is following multiple leads, but won't specify who they're targeting or when. Investigators are now working to confirm a web of connections between D4vd and Celeste. TMZ reported Celeste's mother said her daughter mentioned dating someone named David before she vanished. They both had the same shh tattoo. A Rihanna special. Not exactly rare, but it's enough to raise eyebrows when paired with screenshots of D4vd and Celeste at parties, now circulating online. Police have not confirmed any personal relationship, but social media detectives are running wild. One TikTok with 2 million views spliced together photos of the pair at what looks like the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, set to what else? A remix of Romantic Homicide.
And about the ages, you know, this guy's 20, she was about to be 15. Right? I mean, this is really wild how they hooked up in the first place, allegedly, and where it went from there.
The question burning a hole through every fan forum isn't whether D4vd will be charged, but whether he'll be found before the clock runs out. His attorney, Blair Burke, still hasn't issued a public statement. Law enforcement told NBC News, detaining a high-profile figure without sufficient proof risks dismissal later. The whole city's in a holding pattern, waiting for a final autopsy. But that hasn't stopped a parade of sponsors from Jumping Ship, Crocs, Hollister, even Fortnite, each issuing near-identical statements about monitoring the investigation. Behind the scenes, it's chaos. His tour manager is out. His publicist hasn't returned calls since Monday. Everyone in the industry is keeping their heads down, eyes fixed on the door, because right now, no one wants to be the last one left vouching for a ghost.
And that was before he was even charged. There were people who backed off and didn't want to be associated, didn't want to answer any questions about him. That's what happens in showbiz when you suddenly are the focus of things like this. All those people who are your friends, go running.
Pressure builds with every update. The tour collapse, the label freeze, the digital disappearance. And yet, in the middle of all this, the most dangerous rumor still hangs over the investigation. A hidden tape, a meltdown, a confession that ties up every loose end. Police haven't confirmed it, but 3 former roadies and 1 security guard at the Bird Streets property insist that audio exists and that detectives are playing it very, very close. The stakes are sky high. If the recording surfaces, it's all over. The question isn't whether D4vd broke, it's who in his inner circle is still protecting him, and how long the protection will last. LAPD is said to be tapping phones, checking flight manifests, and reviewing every ATM withdrawal tied to his manager's accounts. The dragnet is wide, but the real hunt is happening in private. Every hour that passes shrinking the map.
People in that neighborhood were aware of this house, and not in a good way. We've heard a lot of people say that there were a lot of noise complaints. In fact, this is really strange, is the latest one was last weekend. Now, clearly David was not there in the house, but somebody was playing loud music, and there was a complaint about noise this past.
Now, as dusk creeps over Hollywood, paranoia is on a knife's edge. Each shadow on Sunset might be a hiding place. Every car window glances back. TikTok sleuths ping GPS data, and fans claim to spot D4vd at gas stations, pharmacies, even back alley bars. No sighting confirmed. But it's open season now. No one can say for sure who's friend or foe, or if D4vd is still just a step ahead, breathing the city air as everyone watching. No single concert or canceled ticket explains the scale of this blackout. Behind every pulled event, there's a scramble. Venue managers told to take urgent direction from headquarters. European promoters fielding emails marked confidential, and even longtime stagehands warned to speak to nobody. By September 14, the official pages for D4vd's tour have been purged from Ticketmaster, Eventbrite, and even his own artist site, scrubbed so thoroughly the links redirect to bland page not found errors. One booking agent, who spoke with Variety under condition of anonymity, called it a coordinated wipe. Venues from Paris to San Francisco all repeat the same corporate speak. The concert is canceled due to unknown circumstances. No refunds processed through D4vd's own team. It's all handled by the ticket brokers as if the artist never existed. If this was just fallout from a criminal probe, why erase every trace of his professional life so ruthlessly and so fast? The pattern fits a blackout: labels, sponsors, and handlers moving in lockstep, not to distance themselves from scandal, but to cut off public access before any more leaks. The message: D4vd's story is now classified.
The LAPD spent 12 hours searching a house where David had been living. So big developments this week. Sources say they were looking for blood evidence in the house and the garage. Neighbors remember seeing the Tesla regularly parked at that house, and it was abandoned and towed to an impound lot from the same neighborhood.
Look closer, and the story at the mansion on Doheny Drive grows even stranger. Neighbors on the Bird Streets describe a parade of moving vans after midnight, headlights off, backs hunching as boxes are rolled across the lawn and straight into idling trucks. Mladen Trifanovic, the landlord, confirmed to the Daily Mail that Josh Marshall, D4vd's manager, demanded an emergency lease break. No one ever saw Burke himself. The whole operation ran silent. The next morning, the house was emptied, lock changed, and all signs of residency erased. Some local residents caught video of what looked like hard drives and what might have been framed photographs, tossed into heavy-duty bins and loaded up before sunrise. A former road manager, still fuming about unpaid wages, claims these weren't personal effects, but evidence anything that could tie Burke to Rivas, gone before police came back. The LAPD's own timeline confirms that when they arrived with the warrant, they found nothing but dust and a stale receipt for delivery pizza. No public word from Marshall. No comment from D4vd's attorney. Damage control, disguised as spring cleaning. But everyone on the block could smell the desperation.
It's interesting, he said she ran away in January,
he
came
said,
back, and then ran away again, or at least disappeared again.
And that tracks with what we had seen as far as missing, a missing children's poster that we saw. There was one earlier in the year, and then there was the one in May.
That sense of desperation only thickens when we turn to the insiders who kept the circus running. 3 separate sources, one of them a former publicist, insist that D4vd's inner circle never panicked about headlines. They panicked about what was on the devices. Discord chat histories, locked iPhones, encrypted laptops. LAPD took what they could, but the rumor in music circles is that the real trail is gone, wiped, transferred, or buried in a storage locker under a fake name. Is this the panicked cleanup of an innocent crew, or the last act of protection from handlers who know the storm is just beginning? It's an ugly picture. Evidence isn't just vanishing, it's being guided away by the very people paid to keep Burke famous, not free. When every handler goes ghost, when even a house is erased from a lease with no notice, we're not watching a meltdown, we're watching a cover-up.
website, I've gone down these rabbit holes. You know, you look at these lyrics, okay, of romantic homicide. I have them right here. He has a line where he says, "In the back of my mind, I you and I didn't even regret it." One of his music videos, I think, you know, he's carrying a casket, or people are carrying a casket. He just seems to have this very sick fascination with.
And then there's the tattoo, the one everyone can't stop whispering about, the shh, etched on Celeste's finger, and then, miraculously, on D4vd's, only showing up in photos after September 2024. A design so loaded with symbolism, it may as well be a threat scrawled in red ink. This isn't just a matching tattoo, fans say. It's a cult brand, a message as loud as a billboard. Silence, secrecy, and loyalty above everything. Law enforcement sources are tight-lipped, but internet sleuths tracked down every photo, every angle, and the conclusion is always the same. This was no coincidence. A family member told TMZ that Celeste had been dating someone named David, and with both the tattoo and their suspected online interactions, the speculation is relentless. On every corner of TikTok and Reddit, the cult of silence theory has grown into an obsession. Was Celeste marked? Did Burke get his ink as an alibi or a twisted act of memorial? The question itself is radioactive. No official will touch it, but the visual evidence is undeniable. When symbols become brands and brands become rituals, we're not just talking about another industry scandal. We're looking at a pattern, planned, deliberate, and deeply chilling.
You know what? I can't confirm that. I know that I know the reports they're talking about, and we've been trying to confirm that that they have. But that would be expected. And there have been other artists who have taken down songs that they collaborated with David on, and they've removed them from some platforms just because they have seen what's going on. And until we know for certain, I think some artists will see David as kind of toxic.
Through all of this, there's an ugly rift growing, not just between police and the public, but inside the industry itself. Executives at Interscope and Sony are rumored to be locking down all communication. One major label source says, nobody wants to be the first to go on record, but nobody wants to be caught helping either. Management is suddenly unreachable. Lawyers for the estate send cease and desist notes to anyone asking the wrong questions. Even sponsors, Crocs, Hollister, Fortnite, have moved beyond pulling contracts. They've begun freezing social media engagement, suspending brand ambassadors, and in some cases reportedly hiring private security to monitor online chatter for leaks. It's a bunker mentality, the kind that only appears when someone somewhere knows the story is worse than the press release.
Something else here, the fact that the body was dismembered, and I feel horrible saying this because you've got this beautiful girl on the screen who really should still be here, but her body was dismembered, and it seemed to be, the way they had described it, the medical examiner, very badly decomposed, which to me kind of indicated that it had been there for well over a month, and it was.
With every piece of evidence vanishing, the hunt for D4vd veers into new territory. There are whispers now that he was given a head start. Handlers paid off the right people, tipped him to the warrant, and made sure the back exit was open. 3 industry veterans say the blackout was staged, not spontaneous. This was set up days in advance, tour dates canceled not after the fact, but as a smokescreen to clear his calendar and let him vanish. Even as the LAPD claims to be closing in, ticket stubs are refunded and fans are left clutching merchandise from a tour that never happened. One theory, now circulating in group chats and even in the industry press, is D4vd running from justice or from the people who once built him up? The lines are blurring, and every hour makes the story harder to untangle. And it's not just digital footprints being erased. Physical traces are going missing. A neighbor's security camera once pointed at the house is suddenly broken. The Tesla, once the smoking gun, has been moved to an undisclosed location, with police refusing to say where or why. One tow yard employee claims off the record that plainclothes guys in suits took it before the press even knew to ask. The medical examiner's report is still pending. Every day of silence feels orchestrated, as if a script is being followed line by line. The few public statements that do surface are loaded with coded language. Ongoing investigation, no suspects named. Cooperating, fully. Translation? We're not telling you anything, and if you think you know, you're next in line for a knock at the door. Underneath the blackout, a shadow game is playing out. The cult of silence tattoo has become a rallying cry and a warning. Fan art, memes, even fake confession videos are getting flagged and taken down. Discord servers go dark. Posts are deleted without explanation. Anyone who tries to keep the conversation going is met with warnings from moderators, many of whom have ties back to Burke's old management. The message is clear: shut up or get shut down. This isn't just a cleanup, it's a purge. Fans who once celebrated D4vd's rise now argue in comment threads. Was he groomed by the machine, set up as a scapegoat? Or is he exactly who the evidence says he is?
It's very clear we're gonna get to the bottom of this sooner than later. Like they are closing in, and it is heartbreaking to see these images of Celeste now, knowing how she came to her end, but to see her at a very young age in this sort of Hollywood circle, you just wonder how it got to that point for her. And you hope the police can solve it.
And what started as a whodunit has mutated into a game of flee or frame. Is D4vd the architect of this chaos, slipping through cracks made for him by the very people who claim to manage him? Or is he just the latest in a long line of stars, eaten alive by a system built to protect its own? Until it doesn't. As the investigation limps forward, every step shadowed by corporate interference, legal foot-dragging, and whispered threats, the only guarantee is that someone, somewhere, is still pulling the strings. We don't know when the tape will surface. We don't know who, if anyone, will be brought in, or if D4vd will ever be found. But this blackout isn't just about hiding a star in trouble. It's about buying time, shifting blame, and keeping the public guessing until the next scandal grabs the headlines. Are we watching a cover-up in real time? Or witnessing a fall so catastrophic that no one in Hollywood dares speak above a whisper? So as the credits roll on this manhunt and the comment threads explode, we have to ask, what do you think happened to D4vd? Is he a fugitive mastermind, a pawn in a deeper conspiracy, or the victim of the most ruthless spin job in industry history? Drop your wildest theory below and don't look away. The truth might be the most shocking twist of all. Until next time, stay tuned and stay curious, because in Hollywood, nothing is ever really gone. It's just hiding in the shadows.